Hello and welcome to Nature Days Outdoor Learning Resources, sponsored by the Gower Society. Now, my challenge for you today is to make yourself a whisk out of your old Christmas tree. Now, as Christmas was only a couple of weeks ago, you should have an old Christmas tree which is ready to go and be recycled. But before it does, you can use the top of it to make one of these. Now, please don't use a Christmas tree that you are going to use next year, which is still live and still growing, because if you chop off the leading edge, the top of it, it probably won't carry on growing. So don't do this with living trees, do this with your dead, cast off Christmas tree. Here's what you will need. You will need your old cast off Christmas tree, and really you will only need the last 4 or 5 branches at the tip of the tree. You will also need a saw to cut off the branch, some string to bind it, scissors to cut the string. You may need a knife if you want to make the handle nice and smooth, and you can use hot water or you may have to boil it inside. First, cut the tree just underneath the first whorl of branches. So this is going to be your handle here, the very top of the tree, and then your whisk is going to come in like that, so you need to cut it as close to here as you can without chopping off those branches. There we go, that's what we need. Next, you need to take off all the needles from those branches. And also from your handle, you want to make this as comfy as you can. So there may be some little buds. Now you can try and pull them off, or you can use a normal butter knife or the back of a saw to just scrape it off like so. Don't worry if you've got some knobbly buds on the side branches, that's fine, but you do want to take them off of the handle here. So if you feel the handle, if it doesn't feel very comfy, you may want to use a knife to make that smooth. Now, if you're not confident with a knife and you don't know how to use it safely, maybe get an adult to help. When you're using a knife, make sure that you're moving it away from you and you know exactly where that knife tip is going to go. So I'm just going to make this a bit more comfortable for my hand. Taking off some of that branch and bark that's a bit rough. This knife is very blunt. Right, that's a bit comfier there. Next, we need to make the beater whisk bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bend these branches up, and you can see they're quite flexible because my tree has only just been taken out of the house after Christmas, so it hasn't been dead for that long. If you're using one from last year, you may want to soak it in water first before you do this to make it a bit more flexible, or it might snap when you bend it. So we're going to bend these up to make the whisk. Then we need to tie them to our central pole or to our handle. So taking our string, best thing to do is a bow fetch, which is one loop, another loop in the other direction on top of each other, and then put that onto the end of your branch, pull it tight, and it will stay in place, or anything that will just hold the string in place. Pull that over to your handle, and then where you want it to be, just wind it round. And then with the other branches, you can just bring those in and just wind it around once before you bring in the next branch and wind it around. And then the last one, and wind the string round a few times to keep them all in place. There we go. Then we can tie it off with another clove hitch, or just try a reef knot with the end of your original piece of string. Cut off the excess string with your scissors. Now you can leave it like that and hold your beating handle there and use it, or what you can do is if you put that into boiling water for about 20 minutes, then this shape will actually stay, and you can actually undo the string and it will stay in place. So if I show you the one that I did earlier, this string here, it's actually not really doing anything. If I undo it and take it off, you can see, because I boiled it, and it's been like this for quite some time. This is last year's Christmas tree, so this is a year-old one. But I made it a while back as well. But if I undo the string, you can see, eventually, there, that they stay in place. And I think that looks a bit prettier. So I've got my handle here, and I've got my egg beater bit at the bottom, all been held in place by the elasticity of these amazing branches of my Christmas tree. And then when it dries, it's been held in place and I don't need my string. But if you want to keep your string on and don't want to put it into hot water, you can do that. On this one, I've also whittled a little bit sticking out here so that can sit in the bottom of my pan while I whisk my huge vat of hot chocolate. Whereas this one I've cut off flush. So it's up to you what you want to do. So now, if you want to keep it, we need to oil it to cover it. It could be vegetable oil, it could be any oil at all, just to make it so that it's not going to absorb a lot of water. And you're off ready to do some whisking. Now, if you do want to use other bits of the tree, apart from the very tip, you could use the next set of branches and the next set, but you will end up having a bigger and bigger handle, or fatter and fatter handle, and probably longer branches. So you may want to trim these down once you've bent them to the size you want. You can just trim above the string so you don't have to use all of those long branches. Or you can make the world's biggest whisk out of the whole of your Christmas tree, and that'd be rather cool. Now, if you do actually make a whisk out of your Christmas tree, I would love to see it. So please do tweet any photos or on the Facebook page. And if you enjoyed this and you'd like to know what the next challenge is going to be, then please do subscribe and like, and I look forward to seeing you next week.